Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Hope you can hear me. So today we will continue with the lectures about Glories of Tulasi Devi. This is part 2. I will not repeat so much what we spoke on the first day when we had this. Actually, this lecture is based on a seminar I gave in Zurich Temple in January. So the first thing that is important and that we stressed a lot is one quote from the scriptures, so like holy literatures, on why we worship Tulasi. So Tulasi Maharani is a form of a plant in this world, but she's not an ordinary plant, she's a sacred plant. And her body, even though it looks material, in the sense that she has branches and leaves, and that she's in a pot with earth, everything about her is not ordinary. So there's a reason why she actually appeared in this world, and that's what we're going to talk about. And so just to read this quote from the scriptures, which actually talks about how important she is for being in our lives, in our spiritual lives. So one scripture says that by seeing Tulasi, so if you see a Tulasi tree, your sins are subdued, so everything you did wrong is subdued. By touching Tulasi, one body is purified, because if we are in contact with someone who is pure, we automatically become purified. By glorifying Tulasi, one's desires are destroyed. This means material desires for sense gratification, not the spiritual ones. By watering Tulasi, one overcomes death. By sowing Tulasi, one attains Krishna's association, because Krishna is always somewhere where Tulasi Devi is. By offering Tulasi to Krishna, one achieves liberation in this life. And offering Tulasi to Krishna is something that practitioners of Bhakti Yoga actually do every day. So, and I will explain in which way. And then it is said, I offer my obeisances at the feet of Tulasi Devi, without whom Lord Vishnu does not eat. This means that the practitioners of Bhakti Yoga, when they offer food, which we call prasadam or mercy, whatever we cook for Krishna, we actually offer him with Tulasi leaves. And we will also learn why is that. But last time when we were speaking about Tulasi Devi, we were talking about who she is. So what is important is to note that she exists simultaneously in the spiritual world and in the material world. In the spiritual world, she exists on Vaikunthas as Tulasi Devi, and she exists on Loka Vrindavan, which is the highest planet in the spiritual world, as Vrinda Devi, one of the gopis, who is assisting the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And she also exists simultaneously in the material world as a Tulasi tree and also the deity of Gandharvi river. So last time we actually started with, we came to the half of the story about Tulasi Devi. And today we will continue. I will not repeat the story. If you want to know the whole story, you can check part 1 of lecture about Tulasi Devi. We stopped at the moment where Tulasi actually cursed Lord Vishnu. And she cursed Lord Vishnu because he tricked her. He pretended that he was her husband. Because she lost her chastity by this act of his, her husband was killed, so she was bereft of a husband, and she lost her chastity. And her husband, who was called Sakachunda, he was actually an incarnation of Sudama from Vrindavan. When he was killed, he returned back home, back to Godhead, into the spiritual world. But Tulasi Devi was still under the impression of her life in the material world and how she was a wife of Sudama, actually. So, and how Lord Vishnu tricked her. So when she regained her consciousness in actually being so shocked about everything that has happened, she said to Lord Vishnu, "O Lord, you are like a stone. You are merciless. You violated my chastity by deception, and by this means you have killed my husband. O Lord, you are merciless. Yes, your heart is like a stone. Therefore, I curse you to become a stone. Those who call you holy are doubtlessly wrong. Your devotee committed no offense, and yet, for the sake of others, you killed him. Why?" So for her, she just couldn't understand how someone who is devoted to Lord Vishnu, to Lord Narayana, could be killed and not protected by Vishnu. So therefore, she thought that Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu or Lord Narayana, that he doesn't have a soft heart, that he is actually very cruel, and therefore she cursed him to become a stone because he was so stone-hearted in her eyes. And as we spoke the first time in the part 1 of this story, I said how, when Krishna comes to this world, he comes to annihilate the demons or miscreants in this world, some persons who are doing some bad stuff here. He comes to protect the devotees, and he comes to preserve the principles of Dharma. And he incarnates millennium after millennium. So whatever is happening in the material world is actually happening for someone's benefit. So when Krishna creates this world, he creates it to give the opportunity to the conditioned souls which are in this material world to go back home, back to Godhead, so that they can return actually to the spiritual world. So that's why he does things, and that's why he puts his devotees in a certain frame of thought in which they do certain things, and then he makes those things come true. So that situations like that happen here. So she cursed him, and he took this opportunity to take this curse, and he said, "Okay, I will become a stone, but please try to understand why I did all of this for you. I did all of this because actually you desired me to be your husband. Therefore, what I want is that now you leave your body and just return to me in the spiritual world and become as Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune. Become my consort." And then he gave a benediction of what she will actually represent in this material world. So, seeing her so upset, Narayana, who is an ocean of mercy, tried to console her according to the dharmic rules. He explained to her the purpose of her austerities and the purpose of her husband's austerities. As we were speaking in part 1, the purpose of her husband's austerities were that he wanted Tulasi to have as his wife. So, and Tulasi was performing austerities to have Vishnu as her husband. But Lord Brahma, he had to fulfill first the desire of Sudama. So therefore, that is why Tulasi became a wife of Sudama first. And then he said, "You will have to wait. And at a certain point, Lord Vishnu will become your husband and I will fulfill your desire." So this is what happened. In a way, when he deceived her and when he pretended that he is her husband, her wish was actually fulfilled in this instance. So Lord Narayana said that it was necessary for him to fulfill her wish. That was the reason why he did what he did. "Now," he told her, "you leave your earthly body and assume a spiritual body and be married to me. Be like Lakshmi." And then he said, which is very beautiful, he said, "Your body will become a famous river known as Gandaki, a virtuous, pure and transparent river in this holy land of India. Your hairs will be transformed in holy trees, and since the trees will be born of you, they will be known as Tulasi trees." So, from the hairs of her body, Tulasi trees were manifested in this material world. So Tulasi Devi, when we see her in the temple or in someone's home, this is the manifestation of the body of Tulasi Devi. And this is why we consider Tulasi as a sacred plant, and we worship her, and she gives certain benefits to our spiritual life. So he said, Lord Narayana said, all the residents of the three worlds will perform worship with the leaves and flowers of this tree. Thus you, Tulasi, will rule as the best among the trees and flowers. So that is what Tulasi Devi will be considered in this material world. So he said, the sanctifying Tulasi tree will grow in Goloka, on the coast of the Viraja river, on the Rasa dense side, in the forest of Vrindavan, Pandira, Champaka, Chandana, and in the groves of Mandavi, Ketaki, Kunda, Malika, and Malati. You will live in the sacred places and bestow the highest religious merit. All the holy places will converge and reside at the root of Tulasi tree. So this is important. I mean, the whole story is important because when you plant a Tulasi tree and you take care of Tulasi tree, so you have this beautiful plant in your, I'm saying it like that because that's how people see the material body of a plant. So in a pot with branches and leaves, but you have to be aware that when you touch the root of the Tulasi tree, you're actually touching all the sacred places on this planet. So that's the significance of Tulasi. Everything is within her. Her body is not an ordinary body. Her body is a spiritual body. So she will give spiritual benefits to everyone who associates with her. O fair one, all the demigods and I will wait there to gather the falling Tulasi leaves. So that's what the devotees do. They, when they take care of Tulasis, they collect their leaves, her leaves, because her leaves in the demigod worship actually are offered to the demigods, but in the worship of Lord Vishnu, which is the worship of a personal one God in Bhakti Yoga, it is offered to Lord Krishna. So then it is said, whoever will be moistened or anointed with the water that has been sanctified by Tulasi leaves will reap the benefit of having bathed in all the sacred rivers and performed all kinds of sacrifices. So when we offer water to Krishna, whether it's a picture of the deity or deity itself, we also offer a cup of water, and in this cup of water we put Tulasi leaves, and therefore we get this benediction that I read just now. Then Lord Narayana said, you will always be the presiding deity of the Tulasi plant here on earth, and at the same time you will always sport with Sri Krishna in solitude of Goloka. So this is the point I was mentioning, how Tulasi Devi, she exists simultaneously in the spiritual and in the material world. And Srila Prabhupada was once asked, so Srila Prabhupada who brought all this knowledge to the West and who also explained to us how to worship Tulasi Devi, once his disciple asked him, like, if there are many Tulasi plants, are they one person or they are all like unique person for themselves? And Srila Prabhupada said that Tulasi Devi is only one. So basically it's just like Krishna said, that the hairs on her body will become trees, but she's still this one person. So this is just Tulasi plants that we have are just a manifestation of her. And when they leave their bodies, Tulasis, they just return to Tulasi in a way, because they are parts of her. Then Lord Narayana said, you will also be the presiding deity of Gandaki river, and thereby shower India with religious merit. So Gandaki river in India is considered very sacred. You will further be the wife of the ocean of salt, which is my partial expansion. O chaste goddess, you will always remain personally by my side and enjoy my company, as Lakshmi does. So Lord Narayana gave many benedictions to Tulasi Devi. First he said, in Vaikunthas you will become my wife, just like Lakshmi. In Golokadam you will be my gopi, who will arrange the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And in material world, you will be a wife of the ocean, because ocean, according to the Shastra, is considered as a partial incarnation of the Lord. So again, she will be a wife of Lord Vishnu. And even as a Tulasi plant, she will always be in the association of the Lord, because her leaves will be offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, and also especially Shilas, which we will explain what they are. And therefore, again, she will never be separated from Krishna. So he said that he will accept her curse. She said that, may you become a stone, because you're a stone-hearted person. So he said, I accept your curse, and I will become a stone. And I will remain close to the bank of the Gandaki river. And then the millions of Vajrakita worms, with their sharp teeth, will make convulsions or rings in the stone there, representing me. These will be known as shalagrams, or sacred stones. So Lord Narayana, he said, I will become a stone, a sacred stone. And he explained how this will happen. So shalagrams, or sacred stones, can only be found in a Gandaki river. And they're, according to the signs that they have on the stones, you can actually, the brahmanas or the expert persons who understand who is who, can actually tell you like which stones represents which incarnation of the Lord. So these shalagram shilas represent various incarnations of Krishna, and they are mostly worshipped by offering tulasi leaves to them. So, giving her all these benedictions, Tulasi heard the Lord, and she left her physical body, and she assumed the celestial form and went to Vaikuntha. And as soon as Tulasi Devi quit her physical body, everything that Lord Krishna, Lord Narayana said was going to happen, happened. So her body became a Gandaki river, and Lord Hari manifested himself as the mountain on the bank of that river. And from this mountain, various stones will fall into that river, and the river will also make the stones soft and roundish, and the worms that live there will carve the stones into various manifestations of the Lord in various incarnations. Yeah. He said that those stones that fall into the river and assume the color of clouds without will yield results, but those that drop onto the dry land and become brown by the sun rays are unfit for worship. So it's explained like which ones, actually he explained which ones will be considered as worshipable and which one will not. But that's not so important. So then Lord Hari duly honored Tulasi and elevated her to the rank of Lakshmi. And then again, because, you know, Lord teaches by example. So all the religious principles that are known in this world are coming from the Lord. So God is the one who is giving them. God is the supreme, actually the first spiritual master. He teaches everything, and he teaches everything by example. So even though he gave Tulasi Devi to the world, who knows if actually persons here know how to worship her. So he made another pastimes to show how Tulasi Devi should be worshipped in this material world, so that we can have benefit of it and achieve spiritual results. So another pastime happened in the Vaikuntha. Goddess Saraswati in Vaikuntha, she became angered and could not tolerate Tulasi's elevated position as a wife. So once in the presence of Lord Hari, she hurt Tulasi, and Tulasi, humiliated and insulted, disappeared. Then out of anger, the wise and adept Tulasi became invisible even to Lord Hari. So she just went away. And then Lord Hari, he went to Tulasi forest Vrindavan and worshipped her with his whole heart. During his worship, Tulasi was offered lighted ghee lamp, a frank incense, sandal flowers, and sacrificial offerings. Anyone who worships Tulasi in this way will achieve complete perfection. So, when devotees, practitioners of Bhakti Yoga, when they have Tulasi Devi at home or in the temple, usually every morning and evening Tulasi Devi is worshipped. It has become a common practice in ISKCON temples that Tulasi Devi is worshipped only in the morning, but according to the scriptures, she is worshipped in the morning and in the evening. So, in the morning at the temples and at some people's homes who perform this ritual, she is worshipped just like the Lord now explained. We offer a ghee lamp to Tulasi Devi, we offer an incense to Tulasi Devi and a flower and a little bit of water. So Lord had to show by his own example how we should worship her. Also, what he showed by an example is how we should pray to Tulasi Devi. So while worshipping her in this way in Vrindavan forest, Lord said certain prayers, and these prayers you can also recite as your offering to Tulasi Devi, and they are very beautiful. They are composed of names of Tulasi, and these names actually talk about the qualities that Tulasi has. So he said, the Tulasi trees collect in many groups, thus the Pandits call it Vrinda. I praise that dear Tulasi. Long ago she appeared in the Vrindavan forest and is thus known as Vrindavani. I adore that auspicious and glorious one. She is always worshipped in countless universes and is known as Vishva Pujita, one who is worshipped through the world. I worship that Vishva Pujita. Countless universes are made pure and holy by her contact. She is therefore called Vishva Pavani, one who purifies the whole universe. Remembering her, I am suffering from separation from her. Though other flowers are heaped upon the demigods, they are not satisfied unless Tulasi is offered. Thus she is considered the essence of all flowers and is called Pushpasara. Now I am anguished and troubled and very eager to see her, she who is purity incarnate. I crave the favor of that goddess. Because attainment of her brings faith and joy, she is called Nandini. O may she be pleased with me. In the whole world she is incomparable, thus she is called Tulasi. I take refuge of that dear Tulasi, very chaste and dear. She is the life of Krishna and is so known as Krishna Jivani. O may that goddess save my life. So these are the prayers that Lord Hari said to Tulasi Devi. And when he finished his prayers, Tulasi was very pleased and she came out of the tree. And therefore, she immediately took refuge at Lord Hari's lotus feet. Lord Hari blessed her by saying, O Tulasi, you will be worshipped by all throughout the world. All will carry you on their head, and I will also worship, honor, and respect you and carry you on my head. So this is very significant when he says that everyone will carry you on their head. So this is something that is done even still today. So you can also carry Tulasi on your head if you just put the pot with Tulasi on your head and honor her in this way, and she will give you benediction. So the story ends that she made peace with Saraswati and they just all returned home. But the whole pastime happened just for the Lord to show us how we should pray and how we should worship Tulasi Devi. So the Lord is the one who always gives an example and shows how religious principles should be practiced in this world. Okay. So I would also like to mention something that is very much connected with Tulasi Devi worship. And that is that you are probably reading Bhagavad Gita, or you already read Bhagavad Gita, but you know that Bhagavad Gita is a book that is personally spoken by God himself, where he explains many things. He explains who he is, he explains who we are, what is our relationship. He explains what is happening in this material world, how it functions. He explains the material nature. He mentions that there is a spiritual world that exists. He explains to us why we are conditioned by this karma or activities. And he explains how everything actually that is happening in this world is happening due to the time factor, Kala. So the time is actually allowing the nature and matter to transform, and that we can see everything happening in the world as we see it every day. He explains all this, and then in the end he says, just surrender unto me. Abandon all varieties of religion. Everything actually that is known in this world as a religious practice, you can all just abandon it. Worship of this or that, following this dharma or that dharma, following yoga principles, just, surrender unto me. And I will deliver you from all simple reactions. Do not worry. And the problem with it was that the Lord concluded that, yes, I said that, I gave an order, but not all people can understand actually how this should be done. They don't understand maybe practically how I can surrender to the Lord. So in order to show the world what it means to surrender and to honor the instruction of the Lord, to surrender to Him and abandon all other varieties of religion, that was one of the reasons why he incarnated as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But worship of Tulasi Devi is also connected with Caitanya Lila. Caitanya Lila means pastime of appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is an incarnation of God, who appeared in this world 500 years ago. And this incarnation of the Lord is actually considered a hidden incarnation because he acts as a devotee of the Lord. He doesn't want others to see him as the Lord. He just wants to relish his relationship with the Supreme Lord so he can understand how the devotees, the highest devotees of him, feel when they worship him. So that's why he came. And he was a hidden incarnation. But before the Lord incarnates in the material world, usually someone calls out for him. And in the case of appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Advaita Acharya was the one who called upon the Lord to appear in this material world as an incarnation of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was reading in the Shastras, like, how can I please the Lord? How can I oblige him that he comes? And then he realized that if he found one quote in Gautamiya Tantra, where it is mentioned that Shri Krishna, who is very affectionate towards his devotees, sells himself to a devotee who offers him merely a tulasi leaf and a palm full of water. So the great practitioners of Bhakti Yoga, the great saints, they have full faith in what is written in the scriptures. So Advaita Acharya, when he read this, he had full faith in this. And he knew that if he asks the Lord to come, the Lord will be obliged to come. So therefore, he took a Shalagram Shila that he had, and he offered to this Shalagram Shila a tulasi leaf and some water. And therefore, the Lord became obliged became obliged to appear. And by this, he showed the significance of Tulasi and the significance also of the Shila worship, which is connected to the story that we now explained, actually, what happened and how the pastime of Tulasi Devi manifested. So again, it is shown by example, like what we should do and how we should practice our spiritual life. So Tulasi worship is connected with the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Advaita Acharya, he showed us how we should worship the Lord with Tulasi leaves and some water, and how the Lord becomes so obliged and affectionate to his devotees. Just a leaf and just a little bit of water, and the Lord sells himself to a devotee. And I wish to emphasize how in all these stories that you are listening now, they are showing you the character of God, actually. So they're showing you how merciful he is, how kind he is, how playful he is, and how little actually is needed that he gives himself to his faithful devotee. So his character is a character of the person who has a very soft heart. So that is also important, like, to note in all these pastimes that we are reading, because when Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, "Surrender unto me," to some people it might sound a little bit, harsh, just because our experience in this material world is such that I don't think we want to surrender to persons around ourselves. We don't trust them very much, because we don't have nice experiences of some certain relationships. Of some, of course, we have, but I don't know how many people would be prepared to just surrender themselves to someone. So we just have this experience of fear, in a way, of lack of trust. And then we have Krishna, who we didn't realize actually yet, who tells us, like, "Oh, surrender unto me." But of course, at the beginning, we don't understand what that means, and we don't know how. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he comes to show us how we should surrender to the Lord. But all these scriptures and all these stories that actually talk about relationship of the Lord and his relationship with the devotees, it reveals the character of the Lord. It reveals the character of God, so that you can have faith in him, that if he sells himself for just a leaf and water to you and gives you everything just because you offered this, that talks something about him, how he's soft-hearted, how he will not hurt us, how he's our well-wisher, and how, he is God, but actually he's the greatest servant of everyone. Even though he's supreme, he should be worshipped. And he actually, because of all these characteristics that he has, he actually has the highest claim on being, that he should be worshipped because of these characteristics that he has. So that's very important to note and to understand. Yes, so we can read a little bit how Krishnadas Kaviraj explained this in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Chaitanya Charitamrita is a book that talks about the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya that he performed 500 years ago here. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains how Advaita Acharya considered the meaning of the verse in this way: not finding any way to repay the debt he owes to one who offers him a tulasi leaf and water. So that's how Advaita Acharya understood it, that Lord will be so much indebted because of this tulasi leaf and some water that he will not be able to repay it. So therefore, he will have to fulfill the desire of his devotee. So the Lord liquidates the debt by offering himself to the devotee. So he offers himself and do what you want with me, in a way. But he doesn't do it to everyone, just the ones who have the pure heart, because they will not also misuse the Lord's kindness. So all this story is clearly an indication that one can easily please the Lord through devotional service by offering a tulasi leaf and a little bit of water. So that's why I would like to use these lectures to encourage everyone, whether you are initiated, whether you are not initiated, whether you are a beginner in spiritual life or you're practicing for a very long time. Encourage everyone to worship Tulasi Devi, because if you worship Tulasi Devi, your home is a place of pilgrimage, because her roots are the place of pilgrimage. In her leaves, 3 guna avatars preside. In the branches also all the demigods. So everything is explained, that everything is in Tulasi Devi, and we offer her to Krishna, and therefore Krishna, because we offered Tulasi to him, he gives himself to such a devotee. So that's quite beautiful, and that's how you can establish a relationship with the Lord. And also remember that Tulasi Devi is a person. She's a gopi, and we should treat her with respect and serve her like we would serve anyone we love, and she will reciprocate. Tulasi Devi, also the significance of Tulasi Devi is connected with Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur is Namacharya, the holy name of the Lord. Maybe you heard of him. So you all know about the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is the mantra that we sing in kirtans, chant every day. All the scriptures that we have are actually written so that they can inspire us to chant the mantra. And there is one person who is considered the Namacharya of the holy name. Nama means the holy name. Acharya means the one who teaches by example. So he was an acharya, a person who taught by example of how to properly chant the holy name of the Lord. And in his example, we could have seen what benefits the mantra has. So Haridas Thakur was also considered an incarnation of Lord Brahma. He was born in a Muslim family, and he became one of the greatest devotees of the Lord, and he was known to chant, I don't know how, I forgot, I think I will say it wrongly, but 3 times 64 rounds. So 1 round on our japas, one round has 108 beads. That means that we chant the holy name of the Lord in 1 round 108 times. So he chanted 64 times. So 3 times 64 rounds of 108. I'm not good in mathematics, so you can calculate by yourself how much that is. I forgot now the exact number, but I think it was 300,000 names, but I'm not sure. I don't want to say it wrongly. And so he chanted. He slept maybe only 1 hour or 2 a day because he was so elevated. And this is something we should not imitate, or not even feel bad like, oh, I can't do it, therefore I will never become pure. That was his role, just to show the potency of the mantra, and also the Lord wanted to show Haridas Thakur's qualities of a great saint. So he chanted, I found it, 300 times, 300,000 times daily he chanted. So he would chant throughout the entire day and night. And what is significant is that he chanted next to Tulasi Devi, because he understood the potency of chanting the holy name of the Lord while being next to Tulasi Devi. And this example that Haridas Thakur gave us about the chanting of the holy name is still followed in our temples, because in the morning the temple program starts at 4:30 a.m. and we have Mangala Arati, which is lasting for about 45 minutes. So the deities are in their pajamas, we are singing songs to the spiritual masters and the Mahamantra and the Narasimha prayers. After that, the curtain closes and then we worship Tulasi Devi. Tulasi Devi, when she is worshipped, she should not be worshipped in front of the Lord. So that's why we close the curtains and therefore we worship her by offering her Tulasi Arati, by singing. And as we said, as the Lord showed by the example, we offer her ghee lamp, incense, flour and some water. And after that, when that is all finished, the devotees usually chant until 7:15, like for 2 hours, and they sit beside Tulasi because they understand the potency of Tulasi on their chanting. So this is an example that was given by Haridas Thakur, and it is an example that the devotees follow to this day. Also, Haridas Thakur, there's one story where one prostitute wanted to seduce him because there were certain political figures who wanted Haridas Thakur to fall down, so therefore they sent a woman to seduce him. And she tried. She came 3 nights in a row to try to seduce him, but he was very polite to her, and he would tell her like, oh please, I didn't fulfill my vow yet, can you please come tomorrow? I will certainly fulfill your desire the next day, but just please, if I can honor my vow. And every time she would come, he was still chanting. So she would sit by his side for some time, but then she realized he will not finish, so she left. And the 3rd day when she came, she realized that she doesn't want to seduce Haridas Thakur because she became purified, and she surrendered to him. She said, I would like to become your disciple. And Haridas Thakur instructed her that she should also find a place where she could chant the holy names of the Lord, and she should plant a Tulasi tree. So, and that's what she did. And I think she was, I don't know if she was the only disciple, maybe, but she was the only one who was chanting as much. She was following his footsteps. So she also chanted 300,000 names, just like him, beside the Tulasi plant. There is the 3rd story I would like to share of the importance of Tulasi Devi and how Tulasi Devi purifies the most degraded persons in the sense, of having certain bad qualities. So there was once, that's a story from Srimad Bhagavatam, but it is found also in Caitanya Charitamrita, or maybe in some Purana, I'm not sure, but we can check that. So Narada Muni, who is a famous saint, he was I don't know how to say, he was going around the material universe, and he encountered one hunter. His name was Mrigari, the hunter, and he was known by killing the animals, of course, because he was the hunter. But when he would kill the animals, he wouldn't just like shoot them and then shoot them so that they die and then take them because he will sell them or he will eat them or whatever. He didn't do that. He would torture them. He would always shoot them in a certain way that they didn't die, and that a certain time would have to pass until they died, so that they suffered in great pain. And Narada Muni was observing what he was doing, and he was thinking like, oh my God, this is so sinful. Like, one thing is to be a hunter and hunt animals and kill them for food or for whatever, but the other thing is that you kill the animals in a way that you don't kill them immediately, and then that they suffer so much. And he approached this Mrigari the hunter, and he told him like, why are you doing this? Don't you know aren't you aware how these animals are suffering, and why don't you just kill them? Don't allow them to suffer so much. Don't you know that you will really be responsible for, you will be held responsible, and severe consequences will await for you in your future life, or even in this life, if you don't stop doing what you're doing. And this Mrigari the hunter, even though he was a hunter, he was quite innocent in the sense like, well, this is like something that I learned from my father. It's a family business. I don't know how to do anything else. He taught me to kill animals in this way, and I don't know how to do these things in another way. And then Narada Muni, he told him that he should not do these things, and at least that if he's shooting them, that he should just kill them so that they don't suffer so much. And but this hunter, Mrigari the hunter, he had some intelligence, and he was inquisitive, and he wanted Narada Muni to explain to him like why he shouldn't do this and what could happen. And Narada Muni explained this to him. He told him about the karma and how each of these animals who he killed will come for him in his next life and will kill him in the same way. And then, the hunter started to think that maybe this saint is really right. And then he asked him, so what do you think I should do? And he said, you should break your bow. And then he said, but if I break my bow, how will I eat? How will I feed my family? I have a family at home. And then Narada Muni said, if you have faith in my words, then you just go home, plant a Tulasi tree, worship Tulasi tree with your family, and everything will be provided for you. And that's what Mrigari the hunter did. He went home, he stopped killing, he broke his bow. He went home, he explained to his family that they will plant a Tulasi tree, that they will worship the Tulasi tree, that they will worship the Lord, chant his names, and just live a totally different life from now on. And because he did that, the residents of the village and the neighboring villages they heard of this great saintly person. Actually, they heard how Mrigari became a very saintly person. And therefore, there is a culture in India that if someone is considered saintly, you want to come to him for the blessings, and you want to offer him gifts. So therefore, they would come to Mrigari's house, and they would bring him food. So grains, fruits, and so on. So in this way, the words of Narada Muni were fulfilled, and he was provided by following the instructions of Narada Muni, who by this became his spiritual master. So a certain time passed by, and Narada Muni passed by again with his friend, and he wanted to show him how religious principles actually affect others. He wanted to show him the example of his great disciple. He wanted to show him how he benefited of chanting the holy names and performing all these sacrifices, worshipping Tulasi. And while he was walking on the path, Mrigari saw him, and he was very happy to see his spiritual master. So out of happiness, he started to run towards him. And after a while, he stopped and started jumping. And then Narada Muni asked him, like, what are you doing? Why are you jumping here? Why did you stop running? And then he said that he saw the ants who were crossing on the path, and he didn't want to kill them. So he was jumping so that he doesn't hurt them. So this story of Mrigari the hunter is told to show many principles, but amongst these principles is the principle of worshipping Tulasi Devi. So because he worshipped Tulasi Devi, because he had Tulasi Devi at home and performed all these activities of spiritual life, like chanting the holy names of the Lord, he became purified. So this was like another example of how potent the worship of Tulasi Devi is. And this is why we do it. And this is what we follow. So these stories are actually spoken to inspire practitioners of Bhakti Yoga to really try to include the worship of Tulasi Devi in their lives. Okay, so these were the stories. And now I'm going to say something about the glories and benefits of worshipping Tulasi Devi at home. This also is spoken for inspiration. So the Holy Scriptures glorify Tulasi Devi in many wonderful ways, and these glorifications are there to inspire us. So it is said, so I will read like quotes from the scriptures. So, of all flowers, Tulasi is the best. So if you want to offer roses or manjaris of Tulasi, it's better to offer manjaris of Tulasi. And in our temple in Zurich, we have like a forest, a Vrindavan forest in one of our rooms. And Tulasi Devis are really taken care of wonderfully by devotees. And they give manjaris, and we like to make garlands of manjaris, and they smell so beautiful, and they have beautiful small flowers, purple, whitish, depending on the Tulasi, and the deities are very like happy with this kind of offering, and it looks beautiful. So she's worshipable. Tulasi is worshipable and beautiful, and she burns up the fuel of sins like a flame of fire. Of all of the goddesses, she's the most sacred, because no one can compare to her. She's called Tulasi. So Tulasi means incomparable. Nobody can compare to her. I worship this goddess who is entreated by all. She's placed on she's placed on the heads of all, desired by all, and makes the universe holy. She bestows liberation from this world and devotion to Lord Hari. I worship her. So if you want to worship the Lord, if you want to develop love towards the Lord, Tulasi Devi can help you. Also, as it is rare to find spiritualists in this world, so it is very rare to find Tulasis in this world, and it's very rare to worship Tulasis in this world. So service to Srimati Tulasi Devi is very rarely obtained. So it's like mercy that is given by the Lord. And it is rarely obtained, just as the association of devotees is rarely obtained. And just as rarely as devotional service to Lord Hari is obtained. In this ocean of material existence, which entails repeated birth and death, these three are the only protectors. So what can protect you in this material world is only the worship of Tulasi Devi, association of devotees, and devotion to Lord Hari. All the places of pilgrimage on this planet and in the millions of universes take shelter in Tulasi leaf. So that's how important it is, Tulasi leaf. And also practitioners of Bhakti Yoga honor Tulasi by putting those Tulasi leaves in our mouth. And actually, when we do that, it is considered as if we have visited all the holy places of pilgrimage in the universe. Tulasi, Yamuna River and Govardhan Hill, so Yamuna River and Govardhan Hill are in Vrindavan and also in spiritual world, and they are all eternally present in this. They are all eternally present in the spiritual world. They appear in this world to benefit the living entities by giving love of Godhead. So Tulasi Devi can give you prema. The goddess of fortune is sometimes envious of Tulasi leaves, which are placed at the lotus feet of the Lord, for they remain fixed there and do not move. Whereas Lakshmiji, although stationed by the chest of the Lord, sometimes has to satisfy her numerous devotees. But the Tulasi leaves never forsake their position, and the Lord therefore appreciates the service of Tulasi more than the service of Lakshmi Devi. It's just because her service is more steady. By offering the Lord Tulasi leaves, a devotee is released from sins accumulated for one 10 millions of lifetimes. When a devotee offers Tulasi to the Lord's head, the devotee's all unmentionable and undetected sins are destroyed. By sprinkling the Lord's house with water using a Tulasi leaf, one is freed from all great sins. One is certain to attain Vaikuntha. The fragrance of Tulasi leaves, the flower of Malati plant, and the milk from a brown cow are the three items which most quickly satisfy Keshava. So if you want to satisfy the Lord, it is good to know what he likes. So he likes Tulasi leaves, and if you offer Tulasi leaves to the Lord, you will satisfy him. And then, let's see. O best of the sages, demigods headed by Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, dwell at that place where even one of Srimati Tulasi Devi's plant stands. Lord Keshava always dwells in the middle of Srimati Tulasi Devi's leaf, Lord Brahma at the tip of the leaf, and Lord Shiva at the base of the stem of the leaf. So basically, when you see Tulasi Devi, you can meditate like this, and you can see that she's so special, she's so sacred, and she's actually not so material as our eyes tell us. Goddess Lakshmi, Goddess Saraswati, Goddess Gayatri, Goddess Chandrika, and all the wives of other demigods as well dwell in the leaves of Srimati Tulasi Devi's plant. The demigods like Lord Indra, Lord Agni, Lord Rayamaraj, Lord Naitri, Lord Varuna, Lord Vayu, and Lord Kuvera dwell in the branches of Srimati Tulasi Devi's plant. So even if you are a worshipper of demigods, if you worship Tulasi Devi, automatically worship the demigods. All holy places in the millions of universes, as well as on the earth, are sheltered in Tulasi Devi's leaves. One who devotedly looks, so just that you look at Srimati Tulasi Devi's plant in the morning, you are considered to be the best of humans. And he obtains the result of seeing Lord Vishnu. By remembering Srimati Tulasi Devi, all one's sins perish, and simply by touching Srimati Tulasi Devi's plant, all one's diseases are removed. So there is a story of saints who were sick and they took just the Tulasi leaf and they became well. So this is also faith in the scriptures that they have. Their faith is so pure that, it can move mountains. Every home with Tulasi plant is a place of pilgrimage, and no disease, messengers of Yama, the god of death, can enter it. Whenever the aroma of Tulasi is carried by the wind, it purifies the atmosphere and frees the animals from all beastly tendencies. So you can see that everything about Tulasi Devi is so auspicious, and whoever comes in contact with Tulasi Devi becomes purified, even an animal. Vishnu, the Lord of the three worlds, takes up abode in the village of the house where Tulasi is grown. In such a house, no one suffers calamities like poverty, illness, or separation from dear ones. Bhagavad Purana states, the Supreme Lord Hari does not accept anyone's worship without Tulasi. Tulasi is the essence of all devotional activities. The leaves, flowers, roots, bark, branches, trunk, and shade of Tulasi are all spiritual. So that's how we should see her. One who with devotion applies the paste of Tulasi wood to the deity of Krishna will always live close to Krishna. One who puts mud from the base of the Tulasi tree on his body and worships the deity of Lord Krishna gets the result of 100 days worship each day. One who offers the Tulasi Manjari to Lord Krishna gets the benefit of offering all other varieties of flowers, and he goes to the abode of Krishna. So in a way, this is like a promise, what will happen if you worship Tulasi Devi, even though we should worship Tulasi Devi without motivation, out of love. And she just bestows bhakti to the Lord, and she just purifies everything. And that's what is beautiful about her. And here it is said that one who puts into his mouth or on his head Tulasi leaves that have been offered to Lord Krishna attains Lord Krishna's abode. In Kali Yuga, which is the age where we live now, one who worships, remembers, plans, keeps, or performs kirtan before Tulasi burns up all sinful reactions and quickly attains Lord Krishna's abode. One who remembers the glories of Tulasi or tells others about them will never take birth again. So maybe that will happen. Yeah, so I would just also like to mention one more thing, and then we will finish for today. We all know that Tulasi Devi, as I mentioned so many things about Tulasi Devi, how she's connected with the Lord, why we should worship her, and so on. And for everyone who has a japa, you are connected with Tulasi also every day. So our japas, on which we chant the holy name of the Lord every day, are also made from Tulasi. And again, this is so because of the scriptures, who give us an understanding of why this is so important. So it is said, by chanting the mantra on beads made of wood of Srimati Tulasi Devi's plant, and what is important, after offering it to Lord Hari. So first we offer the beads and then we chant on the beads. All purposes are fulfilled. One who does not know this is better than an animal. So we should know this, and we should chant. I mean, it would be good. Some devotees chant on neem tree beads, which is also nice because Lord Caitanya, whose other name is Nimai, was born under the neem tree. So in that sense, that tree is also sacred. But the scriptures do recommend to chant on Tulasi beads, and it's better for us, and it gives us more purification, and in this Kali Yuga we really need the purification. So chanting on Japa Mala made of Srimati Tulasi Devi's beads fulfills all types of desires that are the results of all kinds of pious activities. The desires, the perfect would be that our desires are for the service of the Lord. And anyway, the chanting of the Maha Mantra is chanting for the service to the Lord. So therefore, if we chant on our beads with this desire, Tulasi will help us to fulfill this desire. Persons who put... so another thing that we do as practitioners of Bhakti Yoga, and that is we carry Tulasi beads around our neck. So persons who put Srimati Tulasi Devi's beads on the neck are to be understood as devotees of Lord Vishnu in this world. So this is like a mark that we belong to Krishna. We carry Tulasi beads around our neck, and by this we state to the world that we belong to Krishna. And presence of such devotees makes the world purified, and anywhere they remain, they make that place as good as Vaikuntha. So it's all connected. Persons on whose necks and breasts there are Srimati Tulasi Devi beads are never approached by the Yamadutas. So that's protection that Tulasi Devi gives us, that Yamadutas will never approach a person who has beads around the neck of Tulasi. So it protects you from your worst karma. And that's why Srila Prabhupada many times emphasized to his disciples who would take away the beads around their neck to not do that, because it's very dangerous. And if you want to know more about that, you can always write to me so I can explain if someone doesn't understand. So, and this is very, very important that I will read now, especially for practitioners of Bhakti Yoga who might think differently. This is from the scriptures. So, a person who wears Srimati Tulasi Devi's neck beads, even if he is impure and sinful, will eventually attain my shelter. There is no doubt about it. So sometimes it is said, like by practitioners of Bhakti Yoga, that a person to wear the beads of Tulasi Devi has to be pure, has to follow the 4 regulative principles, has to chant the Maha Mantra. The answer is no. He or she can carry the beads around her or his neck, even though she's not doing this. She's maybe doing some other stuff. But just the presence of Tulasi around her neck will purify them, and they will have progress in their life. So it's not that you forbid people to wear. Please don't forbid people to wear Tulasi beads around their neck for lack of understanding of it. So then it is stated in one other scriptures that I speak the truth. In the body of one who wears beads made of Srimati Tulasi Devi wood, there is no sin. So that's also quite interesting. Yeah. So if you want to know more of how to worship Tulasi Devi, which is actually a service for a lifetime because you have to do it every day, and once you get it, you just want to, even if the Tulasi gets old and she leaves her body and she returns to the spiritual world, you want to have a new one, especially if you worship Krishna and somehow you just become connected to her, and yeah, it just becomes your life. And if you want to know more about how to practically worship her, how to perform arati, you can ask the devotees, and also you can ask me if you like to. I also take care of Tulasi Devis in Zurich Temple. We know to our best ability how to take care of them, like what do they need for good roots, for good leaves, what to do every day so that they're healthy and that they're happy and that they serve the Lord. So this is how a healthy Tulasi looks like. It has like a beautiful tree with so many beautiful leaves, and I think this one is old, it's a few years old, so this is not how baby Tulasis look like. But yeah, and if you want to worship the Lord in the way that you offer Tulasi, that you offer food to him, if you don't have Tulasi, if you don't have leaves, you can see this picture. So this is an offering of food to Lord Krishna. You can see the leaves on the food, but you can see these branches. So you can also ask devotees or someone who has a Tulasi that they give you branches of Tulasi, and then you just touch the food and it's the same as you have given the leaf as an offering to Krishna. And yeah, there's so many things. So you can learn how to pluck manjaris, how to pluck leaves, what prayers you need to say, because whatever you do with Tulasi Devi, you need to say the prayers. So if you want to know all of that, I have a small, yeah, like a guidebook in English, and if you want it, I can send it to you. Yeah. And also what is explained in this guidebook is how you can worship Tulasi Devi at home, how you can worship her in the temple, and also what kind of prayers you can offer to Tulasi Devi. And yeah, these are like beautiful prayers. And Tulasi Devi also is so important when we leave this world. When a person dies, usually that's what we did with one member of our family, who was not a devotee, but he was a member of the family of someone who was a devotee. So, but even if he is a devotee or not, it doesn't matter actually, because as I said, Tulasi just purifies everything she touches. So usually when a person leaves the body, Tulasi leaves are placed in all the holes of the body, which means eyes, nose, ears, mouth, and then the person is cremated. And it is considered that if a person is cremated like that with Tulasi, he or she will go directly to the spiritual world. So that is the potency of Tulasi Devi for our life. For some, if they're lucky to be born in the family of the practitioners of spirituality, from the moment that they're born to the moment that they leave this planet, Tulasi Devi is very important in their lives, and she helps us very much. So I hope you have enjoyed these lectures, and that you learned something, and that you were inspired by something that we mentioned. If you want more details, as I already said, you can contact me, and please be inspired to have Tulasi in your home, because at least your home will be considered a place of pilgrimage, and the vibration of Tulasi will purify the space where you are and people with whom you associate. So, and it, as I said, doesn't matter if you are a beginner or you are a very old practitioner of Bhakti Yoga, it will bring you benefits. So, thank you. I see that there are no questions, I think, at least. Thank you very much. So I will wish you all a nice evening and see you, I don't know, maybe in 2 weeks or 3 weeks with another topic, again a lecture in English language. So wishing you all the best. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai.